The Hoover Dam Signals. My name is Daniel Vallis, and I'm the editor of InformedChristians.com, a website devoted to discerning current events from a Christian perspective. There have been a number of recent interesting events, symbolism, and references to the Hoover Dam, suggesting a possible upcoming ritual to be enacted there. This research report examines clues pointing to the occult signaling of their possible intentions to perform the kickoff ceremony for their new world and ruler. Now keep in mind that Hoover Dam is located approximately only about 30 minutes southeast of Las Vegas, which is commonly known as Sin City, on the Nevada-Arizona border. Let's look at a few very recent events that have happened at the Hoover Dam. Friday, May 22, 2015, there was a 5.8 earthquake, later downgraded to a 4.8, that shook Las Vegas. Also, on that same Friday, May 22, 2015, Saturn was at opposition. It was lined up with the Earth and Sun, and it was fully illuminated. It was also the closest that it would be to Earth. This was a big deal to those who worship Lucifer. For everybody else, it's nothing important. But for them, it was very important. Also on that same Friday, May 22, 2015, suspicious data was posted about the Hoover Dam water levels. On that day, the data showed there was a sudden drop of 1.65 feet. The next day showed a further drop of 6.38 feet. This is an 8-foot drop of an entire lake in 2 days if that data was true. Well, the Lake Mead National Recreation Area officially denied the posted data, stating that it was not accurate and that the lake level was at 1,077 feet, not the 1,068 feet. But then, when they posted the correct data, it showed that the lake had surged to a higher level than pre-earthquake levels. All in all, there have been some very worrying signals about these water levels, and many think that it was a signal, tip of the hat, so to speak. In early May, the logo and mascot of a German soccer team was projected onto the Hoover Dam for several days as testing ahead of a promotional film. Quote, this projection at 1.17 million lumens earned Freightliner the Guinness World Records title of highest light output projection. Note that this event is very much pushing the idea of lumination. Lucifer, who is also Baphomet the goat. Note that this is the logo here with the addition of their mascot goat. The placement is abnormal and deliberate. The main event was a promotion for Daimler's world's first self-driven truck. Quote, 60 projectors at 26,000 watts each projected the 30-minute presentation that introduced the Inspiration truck, projected onto a surface of a little over 420,000 square feet. This is equal to almost 9 football fields and over 87 average-size IMAX screens. So let me get this right. They did a PR stunt in the middle of the desert, in a canyon at night, where almost nobody could see it. And on top of that, it's not even showing up in the news, especially American news. So, something's up here. When we look at the license plate for the truck, it has a Mobius strip, the infinity symbol prominently displayed. The symbol represents Satan's desire to create his own eternity, an endless loop by messing with time. I cover this symbol more in my time video. Notice that the infinity symbol is again in the main presentation projected onto the dam. So let's step back a bit and think for a minute. Is there something special going on? Well, 2015 there's several different things going on that are special that probably relate. For example, 2015 is on the Chinese zodiac known as the year of the goat, or the sheep or ram. They're used interchangeably, but it's the year of the goat. Also, surprise, surprise, 2015 was declared by the United Nations as the International Year of Light. Quote, a global initiative which will highlight to the citizens of the world the importance of light and optical technologies in their lives for their futures and for the development of society, end quote. Now do you see why they're making a big deal of lumens and projected light? It's for Lucifer, the light bearer. Let's take a look at the Hoover Dam to see if there's some unique things about its architecture. Now this picture here is taken from before the lake was filled up. Notice that there is a pair of twin towers. Also notice that the goat and logo that was projected on the dam also shows twin towers. Throughout the dam and power plant galleries, there are centrifugal medallions that adorn the floors. In each of them there is definitely a dark star in the middle. Now, it reminds me of the occult Nazi black sun swastika at the Wilsberg Castle, which was the ideological center of the Order of the SS. It looks very much like it. It's a black sun swastika. It's stylized to an American Indian style, but it's still recognizable as a black sun swastika. Also outside they have a star map embedded in the pavement. And they say, the chart preserves for future generations the date on which President Franklin D. Roosevelt dedicated Hoover Dam, September 30th, 1935. Right. Now, Astellone is a star system in the constellation Taurus. It is the brightest star in the Pleiades open cluster. It is named after the mythological figure Astellone, one of the mythological Pleiades. She married Psyche, son of Eosphorus, the morning star, Lucifer. Now, many times those who channel demonic spirits talk about the alien beings from Pleiades. They're really demons. But, so, here we have at this location a star map that points straight to the Pleiades and labels a daughter-in-law of Lucifer. I find that a little suspicious. Now, the clocks on the intake towers show the time in the two states that share the dam. Since Arizona doesn't observe daylight savings time, the time on the clocks is the same for much of the year, even though Nevada and Arizona are in different time zones. Two clocks, one on either side of the dam. The dam literally straddles and divides the time zone. The dam represents dividing of time. At the dam, there is a very large bronze dedication mural, supposedly to the workers who died during its construction. For the sake of time, the figures and symbolism depict the Egyptian god Shu, or Ra. He is light personified. He is often depicted rising up from behind the earth while supporting the sun with his hands, similar to the way Atlas is often seen supporting the heavens on his shoulders. Basically, this figure represents the beast rising out of the sea, the Antichrist and his rulership, who is ultimately going to be Satan's avatar, Revelation 13. Steve Fletcher's website has a much more complete breakdown of the mural and figure and the identification. Notice when you look at the mural in the lower left, you see the head of a figure, a body lying in the water. You can barely tell that it's there, but it's just like the Egyptian depiction, further confirming the identity of the god Shu-Ra. It's not really apparent unless you look for it, but this innocent-looking dedication mural is anything but. This plaque is a bold declaration of what the Hoover Dam was built for, and also possibly hinting at what will happen to it in the future. Notice above the man's head is a rainbow, clouds, and lightning bolts, none of which has anything to do with the dam, let alone a man standing in water. Luke 10:18 says, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. The lightning bolts could also be a play on lightning, which means descent of the uterus into the pelvic cavity that occurs late in pregnancy. The fetus is said to have dropped. This spelling, lightning, is often confused with lightning, the electric discharge. Lightning is the part of the preparation for giving birth. I cover the concepts of rainbows and rainbows bridge symbolism more in my time video, but basically it is about creating a portal to another dimension. So the fact that it's square and center right here with this person is very interesting. Now, with all the other symbolism in this mural, the shafts of wheat could represent the wheat harvest, the tribulation time, and the eventual separating of the wheat and tares. It'd be an interesting tie-in, Matthew 13:30. Now, right next to the memorial mural, there is a much larger piece of artwork with two winged figures, which they call the winged figures of the Republic. They are 30 feet high, very huge statues. Considering what we saw with the memorial mural, I think it is safe to say that these most likely represent the fallen angels. Predictive programming is used both for conditioning of the masses, but also for messaging for those who are familiar with the symbols and meaning. Repeated use of a pattern in conjunction with others is not an accidental trend, it is a deliberate message. Everything in Hollywood is done for a reason. In the Superman movie from 1978, Superman flies around the Earth until he is moving faster than the speed of light, thus traveling back in time. This is visually represented by the Earth appearing to spin backwards. By reversing time, he prevents the Hoover Dam burst. And that's what the story says. But this may be a hint to the efforts of CERN to accelerate particles to near the speed of light and possibly create black holes, wormholes, and toroidal fields which will mess with time-space. 10.5 Apocalypse, a TV miniseries from 2006. It's about a magnitude 10.5 earthquake that destroys Los Angeles, California, and the Hoover Dam in Boulder City. If you're familiar with the Illuminati card game that has predictive programming ties to other events, this one here identifies an earthquake projector, a man-made method of creating earthquakes. Notice that the twin towers in the card have a very similar shape to the twin towers that were projected onto the dam. Former Defense Secretary William Cohen once said, "They can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. It's real." He said that in 1997. Jump ahead to the 2012 Super Bowl halftime show with Madonna. Among other things, she climbs up on her Hoover Dam-shaped throne and squats in the birthing position. And you can see by the structure of her throne that it very closely resembles the Hoover Dam, with the spread at the top even down to the power plants at the bottom. Now when the show starts, she is brought in with large wings referencing the fallen angels. Then again, notice that her headpiece is a combination goat head, goat horns, as well as stylized ears similar to Anubis, the Egyptian god who's the lord of the underworld, and also hearkening to the fallen angels depicted at the Hoover Dam. And not surprisingly, ram horns were also on other performers. Several times she does a dance style imitating Shiva, god of destruction. Very kind of like the statue of Shiva that's right outside of CERN's main building too. Is she showing that the dance of Shiva is going to be involved in what's going to happen at the Hoover Dam? We don't know. But the stage setup has a giant eye projection on it that also has a portal wormhole in the center of it. Very interesting. The Transformers movie from 2007. In the movie, the Hoover Dam is a purpose-built facility to hide the advanced alien technology locked in the Allspark cube. Now, in our Time, CERN, and the Bible article series on the website, as well as in my video, I cover the symbolism behind the black cube. Basically, it represents the abyss, the bottomless pit where the fallen angels are imprisoned. Breaking of the Hoover Dam would literally represent giving birth and the release of the fallen angels. San Andreas is another movie from May 2015. A magnitude 9+ earthquake in California. Hoover Dam gets destroyed early on. Again, they keep repeating this pattern, along with subtly other patterns too as well. The water is about to break. Friend, I'm not writing these articles, doing these videos, doing these resources and research merely for your morbid curiosity. It has a purpose. I want you to print out the PDF resources, the evidence. One day when the tribulation starts, it will be too late to gather information, do homework, do research, or even to print it out for others. You need to have these ready ahead of time. Think of it as a ministry to prepare these resources ahead of time to be a ministry, outreach, and testimony to others. Print them out, put it in an easily found 3-ring binder so that once these events start appearing on the news and their worlds are being turned upside down, they will know that they are being lied to. That these are not just random catastrophes. They have been meticulously planned by Satan to break the world, to submit to his puppet, and to ultimately delude the world into thinking that there is no God. These reports and resources can be, and may be, the only witness some have to strengthening their formerly lukewarm faith, or even to accept Christ as Savior. These resources point people back to the fact that everything that the Bible said would come true is coming true. Point people to the Bible and truth. This is more important preparations than any other material preparations. 1 Thessalonians 5:2-4 says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief." Luke 12:46, The Lord of that servant, the one who's not paying attention, will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in sunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. Matthew 25:6-7 says, And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. Time is short. The watchmen are already blowing the trumpets. Are you ready?